And on talking about the tank, it was a regular tank, big old tanks in that day. I don't know what he was doing in a tank unless they were transporting from one area to another. Anyway, I think he said there were 5 or 6 men in the tank, and it caught on fire. I remember he said the fire was just burning like everything. Everybody tried to get through the little hole that they had, and it's all too big. They just couldn't get through it. But he got through it because he's the smallest one, and he's the only one that survived the tank fire. So Ben Little helped him out at that time.
So he went through the
He
holes
went through
where
the
the gun,
hole.
where they're supposed to put their guns through
Yeah.
to shoot through.
Yeah. But he was the only one that could get out of there. This palace that they're going into, or castle they call them over there, is King Ludwig's castle, and he's had them scattered all over Germany. He just bled them to death to get that gold, and they say you've never seen so much gold in a place in all your life till you see that, and it's just gold all in there. But they called him the madman, Mad King, because he'd just get one castle started and he'd go and build another castle like he could live in. Well, kind of like Iraq, you know, they built here and there and everywhere, like you could live in them all at one time. But he said the stench was terrible. And the big old building there that you said looks like a school, is that big old flag. It's a huge flag. If you've ever seen it out, goodness, it's half the big as this room, isn't it? It's a huge thing. And it came off of a schoolhouse. So they had school going on right there by it. Here was the school, and there was the people burning, and prisons right there by them. But when they questioned anybody, they'd say, well, we didn't know any of that's going on over there. But they were scared to say anything.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time. We gotta Who can say why your heart sighs as your love flies?
Dachau, where the gas chamber was, you'll know that when you see it. They came in there to liberate the town, and that's what they found. And they said the stench of it was so strong you could smell it for miles on end. But yet when they would question the people that lived right by it, why didn't you turn those in? Why didn't you do something about this? Well, we didn't smell anything. They were scared to. They were scared to say anything.
The smell of the ovens?
The ovens and the people burning, the stench of burning. Said it was so bad you could smell it for miles coming in. But yet they all declared that lived right there they didn't smell anything. They didn't know that was going on down there, so they said. So I've forgotten now just how many. I looked here last night in my notes, and I don't have how many was killed, but millions were killed.
6 million
gas
women,
chamber.
everybody's.
A lot of people, millions of Jews were killed that way. They thought they were going in there to take a shower. And that was their aim, was to destroy that bridge. And they destroyed it they destroyed it all right. It took a lot of men's lives to do it, so the Germans couldn't use it.
Those old people next morning, I remember seeing
So,
them.
but that was the Rhine, and that's where Cecil nearly drowned that I told you about. That is she recording?
Mhm.
Okay. He said he started with full pack and full gun and full everything, but it just took him clear to the bottom, and he couldn't come up with all that on. So he began to shed the gun and the rifle and his bag and everything, and said finally, the time he got to the other side of the shore, he didn't have anything on but one pair of shorts. That's all saved. He just couldn't swim with all that on.
Too heavy again.
And then he said the current was really swift. You were just fighting for your life. That's all there was to it. And he knew he was going to drown. So, and I don't know about now, but back there then, if you let go of that gun, you were in serious trouble. You were never supposed to let that gun get out of your control. He was in infantry at that time. And you were supposed to protect that rifle with your life. But it went first because it was heavy.
Yeah.
And then his pack and everything else. So that was, but that Remagen Bridge is the bridge that they were knocking and did knock out. Okay, the Jeep I've got here is one that he built from parts. They didn't have any transportation or anything. This was right after the war was over. And they could go to some of the German houses and either buy or bag or whatever they do, a chicken or something, and they'd come back and cook it. They'd made them a little old stove of a sort, kind of like our outdoor cookers are today. And when they'd get a chicken or anything, they'd roast it on that. So he just said one day he got to thinking about there was just parts laying everywhere, good parts. So he found the motor and redid the motor and then got a fender and got the bed and got everything together. And the boy just purred like a kitten. So they had that for transportation. And they had, the farmers would give them some gas. They'd have gas hid somewhere, he said, that they didn't come and get. But he left that Jeep with them. But he made it from scratch. And I already told you that Mike, that the tallest man there, I believe, was his very best friend. And he was to come home the next morning. And Cecil wasn't with him. He was out, I don't know what he was doing, but it was on the curb. And this drunk German boy stole a truck, one of the American trucks, and came down and ran up on the sidewalk and killed him. Well, they let him lay there until they could identify him. Somehow, I guess he didn't, well, you know he had his tag on, you know that, but the time they got down there to where it was and everything, and they knew that, they told him that the authorities, well, he knew him better than anybody. So Cecil went up there and had to identify him before they could move him off the curb. And he said, yeah, that was him. So then they gave him the job of getting all of his personal things together and mailed them to his wife. And it added to the tragedy of it by being able to come home the next morning, live through the war, and then get killed.